What's going on, y'all? I want to welcome y'all back to the Raw Report. And today's guest on here, we got Dr. Glenda Hayden. She's an author. She's a therapist. I know she's a trailblazer for family transformation. So I want y'all to work with me. My voice, I'm a little under the weather, but don't worry about it. We're going to get through this interview. We're going to get these questions because I know she got some stuff that can help y'all. So how you doing, Dr. Glenda?
Am well. I am well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Like I said, a little under the weather, but I'm gonna get this interview in because these people need this information, and I know you got the stuff to help them. So
Mhm.
I'll start by asking you. So I know you you be guiding mothers into the fullness of the kingdom identity.
Mhm.
What was the moment in your journey when you first stepped into the identity yourself?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. That is a profound question because I'm of the belief it's a journey
Okay.
and it's ongoing. You know, yeah, it's layers to this and it gets gooder and gooder, if you will. Yeah.
It gets gooder. Okay, so is that to say, and I'm just asking because I don't
Mhm.
know because I'm not a mother,
Yeah,
does
yeah.
that say it's hard in the beginning and it gets better as you go along?
Well, the beauty of motherhood is that not only do your children grow and develop, but you grow and develop as well. And a lot of the work that I'm doing now is from lessons learned from motherhood. I'm the proud mother of two young adults,
Hmm.
an HBCU grad, an Ivy League grad. And I would like to think that I was an intentional parent
Okay.
and but yet there's still room to grow. None of us are perfect. Our children doesn't come with what we call manuals, right? They don't come with manuals, but God does give us some guidance in his word on principles on how to raise our children. And I think the one part I miss that I'm so excited to encourage other mothers to get is I think it's in Matthew, it says, love the Lord thy God, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Mm.
And I'm a therapist, you shared I'm a therapist by trade, right? So loving thy neighbor in my mind for years was to come after God. But he said, as thyself. So
Mm.
technically, it's God's self, then others. And I think as mothers, we put everybody before us. And I was a mother, was what we would call the sandwich generation. I was caring for my mother and raising my children at the same time. And that was exhausting. So learning to do that self care and putting self first, because I'm now of the belief that radical self care is the best gift we can give anyone. They were getting the best of me, the fullness of me, and I can pour from my saucer, whereas before I was giving from my cup.
So I actually love what you just said, and something stood out to me. You said you was an intentional parent. What does
Mhm.
that mean?
Yeah. So my mother, I believe, was an intentional parent as well. She was one of those parents that said, "Oh, we don't just sit around in summer. You don't have a vacation." She bought workbooks and we studied during the
Mhm.
summer, right? So with my children, I did the same. I was intentional, right? You're completing second grade. We're going to spend the summer introducing third grade concepts so that you'll be prepared for third grade. It's not all catching you by surprise. You have an introductory to what some of those concepts you're going to be teaching. I was intentional in the sense that I wanted them to understand the value of a dollar. I remember when I was in the store with my 3 year old, she asked for something, and I said, Mommy doesn't have money for that. No, you can't have it. And she said to me, Well, just use that little card. So she had been watching. She's like, You might not have no green, but I know you got that little card and you use it. And sometimes we walk out with stuff in her 3 year old brain. So fast forward to when they were six, about 5 or 6. I'm like, okay, it's Saturday morning, do your chores. We were practicing financial peace, and they had their 4 quarters they would get every week to put in their one for tithing, two for saving, and a quarter to spend. And they're watching their Saturday cartoons. My daughter, who was the youngest, was the spokesperson, and she said, "Well, we've decided we don't need money this week, so we're not going to do any chores." I said,
Mm,
"Okay." I said, "Okay."
okay.
I
Right.
said, "That's wonderful. I'm so excited you don't need money anymore. So now, moving forward, you will earn money in this outside of this house, like me and your dad does, right? So, whatever dollar you get from this day forward, there's no such thing as an allowance. Now, you will have to earn your money outside of this home." So, they began. She started a cleaning business. My son started pulling the neighbor's trash to the front for $5 a month. So, I instilled in them that you're going to be a part of this family. Now we do chores because that's what we do as a family to keep the household running. It's not for allowance.
Well, I hope the audience, I hope y'all are already getting some stuff from Dr. Glenda, because that's profound right there. She's teaching y'all how to raise y'all kids. Ain't no times off in the summer. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Glenda. All right, many families feel trapped in the cycle of chaos without realizing it.
Hmm.
What are the early signs that a family is operating outside of their divine alignment?
Yeah, yeah. I truly believe I'm one of a young mother I'm working with now. She's a mother of three, a newborn at 7 months old, and she's exhausted. She's seeking out therapy because she's exhausted. And
Hmm.
we were talking, and she shared with me that her and her family had went to church. They went out to dinner, and they had a great time. And she said, "I was intentional." And she said that several times. And I said, "Did you hear what you said?" And she said, "What?" I said, "You said you were intentional." As mothers, sometimes we don't realize the power we have to shift the atmosphere in our home, right? That saying, when mama's happy, everybody's happy. But I really do believe as women, God has given us this gift to shift the climate in our home, and we get to model for our families and our children that well-being, how to take care of ourselves. And this young mother just needed to understand, how can I get a break when a 7 month old sleep and a 3 year old wants me, right? How do I balance all of this out? So helping her to realize, 3 year old is old enough to say it's rest time. Mommy's gonna rest and you're gonna rest. And you don't want to go to sleep, it's rest time. Let's have our separate space. And she said, "It's working." She's staying in her room and I'm able to exhale, even if it's just for 20 minutes. So we as mothers have to realize, it's motherhood isn't just about giving, 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 but it's also about taking care of ourselves, because when we're healthy and thriving, our household thrives. When we're stretched to the limit and we're exhausted, that's where the chaos sneaks in.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. I hope y'all hearing her. Oh man, Dr. Glenda, I don't even think I was ready for this interview. You dropping up jewels. They need to hear you. All right. You used the term Kingdomstrodinary. What does that mean to you? And what is the first step for a mother who wants to move from ordinary to Kingdomstrodinary?
Yeah. Well, the first step is easy. It's just
Okay.
making a decision. We simply have to make a decision. Sometimes we are procrastinators. Oh, maybe next year, maybe next time. But no, give me a week. I got to get this right. We have a society of a world that we think everything has to be perfect before we can move for the kingdom. But he says, "Come as you are." So, Kingdom Extraordinary is simply saying, I'm now going to seek the word of God for principles, and not only for my head knowledge, but for my heart knowledge, for
Oh wow.
transformation, so that I can begin to apply His word. It's not okay to be like every other family, stressed out, chaotic. That's ordinary in today's society. But to
Yes,
be
ma'am.
kingdom extraordinary, meaning I'm going to live the life that God desires for me to have. His word tells us in Matthew, as it is in heaven, have it on earth, right? So he wants us to be at peace. He doesn't want us to be stressed. He wants us thriving, not that's his plan for us. So when we
Hmm.
say, yes, I want to learn these principles, I want to learn the word of God and apply it so that I can live a kingdom extraordinary life, that's what it means. And it begins with a yes.
Oh, that's so good. Did you come up with that on your own? Like, where did that come from? I like it.
Kingdomstrodinary is original. I better get a trademark. A lot of
You
people have
better
been
do
liking
something
it.
because that's good. That's good. When I saw it, I was like, okay, I like where she going with this one. And then I love your definition of it.
Yes.
Might
Yeah.
want to do a Bible study on that or something. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
what personal belief or mindset shift has had the greatest impact on the way you lead and empower the families that you work with today?
Mhm. Yeah. So the title, my business is called Exousia Transformation SPACE, and Exousia is a Greek term that means authority and
Hmm.
power. God has given us kingdom authority and power to, excuse me, move forward um, as his children, right? We
Hmm.
don't have to wait on the government to tell us this. We don't have to. When we saw it, I think primarily a beautiful example of it was the pandemic. A lot of
Hmm.
people lost their jobs, but they got creative. They tapped into their God given talents and created business. I've heard about lawyers and accountants, I think, coming together to open a barbecue restaurant down south. And, we tapped into our gifts, and that's who we are as people. Everything we need is within us. But somehow in our system, in our society, we are dependent. We have grown dependent on the systems of this world. So with
Mm.
Exousia Transformation SPACE, we're empowering families to transform their lives from ordinary to kingdom extraordinary by creating space. And space is an acronym for stillness. To be present in the moment. Sometimes we're so into our head, we're missing opportunities to be present. Look at the person. These days, we're all on our phones, but let's be in this present moment, to be still, to be present. Um, and the A stands for to be, oh, it's slipping me.
No,
Still,
take your time.
Carlos,
Take your time.
I'll see it. It changed my screen, so I apologize for that. Oh, now you're back. So
You're fine.
to be still, to be present, and to be aware.
Hmm.
We sometimes are not aware. You see people walking down the street, they're on their phones, they're not even aware of what's going on around them. We miss the opportunity to bask in the sun. We miss an opportunity to see another person's glance or smile because we're not aware of what's going on around us. So to be still, to be present, to be aware, and the C and the E in space stands for then I can confidently execute. Then I can confidently move forward, understanding the principles, the kingdom principles that are needed right now in this moment in my life.
Whew. Did you come on here expecting to do some preaching? Because you're doing some preaching on here. I love it. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, breaking free from generational patterns isn't easy.
Mm-mm.
What are the most common strongholds families face that you see, and how do they break free from them?
Yeah. So for me, it was secrecy and shame. 30 years I hid in secrecy. The fact that as a young woman, I aborted my first child. So I
Mm.
suffered in silence with that for over 30 years. And it wasn't until I began doing my own healing that I realized the truth shall set you free. He didn't
Mm.
just say that to say that, right? So there's so much power. And since I came forth with my story, I wrote my memoir, Abortion Leads to Life, A Woman's Journey of Healing After Abortion. So many women, and these aren't women, um, these are pew women, if I could say that. These are women of faith. These are women in the church.
Right.
And
No,
we're
what you mean? Yes,
hiding.
yes.
Yeah,
This is
and we're
this show
hiding
is
and
faith elite.
we're suffering.
Yes,
Yeah,
elite
yeah,
faith.
yeah. So, these are, and I realized I wasn't alone. But for 30 years, I thought I was. I thought
Oh
everybody
wow.
else had it together. And I was the one that had this shame and this secret that I wasn't comfortable sharing, but it was freeing. And since I've shared my story, released a book last November, so many women also are coming forth and healing from that. Because the enemy, that's his biggest tool, secrecy and shame. And when we release that, then we can be free. Some women, I also say, I want to clarify that abortion, in my case, it was the abortion of a life, a child.
Hmm.
But for some women, we've aborted our dreams. For some of
Mm,
us, we've aborted assignments, meaning the
okay.
father of our children. We just done cut the man off, but he's our assignment, right? God allowed that seed to bring life into this world through your womb. Then you have a responsibility to co-parent if necessary, and how if God directs you to do that. I know there's such circumstances in every case where it may not be healthy, but if it is a situation where um, God is telling you to be there for the father of your children, you should do that. And, He's leading me to share this. I divorced the father of my children a few years back, 2019, I think our divorce was final. And it was bitter, it was yucky, it was messy. But today we took family pictures, right? So God is in the healing business. My son just got engaged. I'm able to be friends with the father of my children, and we can co-parent. We can be in the same room together, and that was my prayer. His grandkids are going to come. I'm getting a daughter in love. So how do we function for the betterment of our children and put all our nonsense aside? Because the enemy would love to keep us in that divisive state, right? In anger and bitterness. But the God we serve says not so, and I'm so happy. He's restored our relationship so that we could be um, friendly and a family for the sake of our children and our future legacy.
I love that you said that because I think a lot of times we get trapped in our nonsense, like you said, and we get literally trapped in it.
Hmm.
And that's what culture wants.
Hmm.
Culture doesn't want us at peace. So
Hmm.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
So you talk about building a unique family culture. How can families begin crafting a culture of peace, power, and divine purpose in a practical way or every day? Like,
Yeah.
where do they start at to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. And let me tell you, this journey isn't overnight. But
Uh,
the first, I always say, begins with a decision. You have to decide. Then the second part of it is, I would say, to parents and to families. And I really do believe it begins with the woman in the home, and men can do this as well. But I remember, I'm going to just say a little sidebar. My daughter was about 2, and
mhm.
she was fussing at her brother. They're 14 months apart. She had her hand on her hip and her finger, and she's giving him the stuff. And
Okay.
I said to her, "Who taught you to do that?" And I'm looking, I got my hand on my hip and I'm pointing my finger, right? So it hit me like it slapped me in my face. She learned that from you. I'm like, "How do you learn to put your hand on your hip at 2?" And she's like,
Wow.
"Oh, I'm watching you." So our kids do what they see us do, not so much what we say.
Right.
And so, as a mother or in your home, or just say, "I'm going to start sitting still and I'm going to meditate. This is my time, and it's going to be peace. We're going to have quiet. Whatever it is you need. If it's, I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to exercise it. I believe in the 7 principles, the 7 pillars of well-being, and that's mental, emotional, physical, financial, nutritional, right? Spiritual. So, whatever area you want to start with for your family, start with it. I remember when I decided to lose weight and I started drinking water. Now I know I'm looking at my teenage children, all want water bottles and they want to drink water. So, we cannot underestimate the power of influence we have just in our behavior in our household.
I'm glad you just said that, and you really made me think of something. And I know you got an answer for it because I love where you're going with this. How does a mother's personal healing affect the whole family's transformation?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I I truly believe our children mimic us. So if you ever, they'll do one or two things. They either want to be exactly like you, or they're going to say, "I'm never going to do this," right? Usually that's what children say. "I'm going to be just like my mom. I like this," or "I'm not going to do this." And not until you become a parent, you might realize, "Oh my goodness, I'm sounding just like my father, just like my mother." I think one of the insurance companies do a commercial like that that talks about that. But when we decide that we want to heal and we want to invest in that, it's just amazing how those relationships improve. Our children begin to notice there's a little something different about mama. "Oh, I see the change in you." "Oh, mama, I see this," right? So I'm a school social worker by trade. So I work in the schools, and when I'm talking to my young people about self awareness, I always say it begins with me. I
Oh,
can't control what everybody else is doing. The only person I get to control is myself. I have the authority over myself. So when
mm,
I begin to do that work for me, it's just amazing how it does fall into place.
that's so good because even like hearing what you just said, I don't think a lot of mothers realize that they have the control, like you said earlier, of the household. And if they start to heal themselves, they can heal their whole family just
Mhm,
from starting there. I love that.
mhm,
What role does spiritual authority play in parenting?
mhm.
How can mothers step in that with confidence?
Yes, let me tell you, I am a therapist by trade, right? And I work in the schools. So I had to be very intentional of not laying hands on my children, right? Because you don't want a case, you don't
Right.
want people coming taking your kids away, and those kinds of things. But I had some challenging behaviors in my home at times, right? My children are they're they're human. They're like every other
Yes, right,
kid,
right,
right? They do their stuff. But when those spirits would come, I call them spirits because remember we don't wrestle against flesh and blood.
right.
So when those spirits would try to enter my home, the one thing that kept me from hitting and spanking or discipline, and I know the law says you can spank, you just can't leave bruises or I wasn't gonna take no chance. I never laid
Point
hands.
is a spanking if you can't don't do this.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
out of here. That ain't doing
yeah. Go time out, take care,
it.
no
Right.
TV or whatever, right? I literally would open every window and door in my home.
Okay.
And I began to talk to the spirits and say,
Bring them out
"You
of there.
are not welcome here. I
Bring them out.
know the child I'm raising. This is a child that fears the Lord, loves her mother, obedient." And I would speak life, right? You speak those things that are not as though they are. And
Wow.
that was not so much for them, but for me. And
Right.
that's how had to get my release out, right? And I will be driving on the highway, and those attitudes would try to rise up in my car. I roll sunroof, windows, everything open, and I began to say, "Get up out of here." We're driving from Chicago once, and I just say, "You're not welcome here." I'm screaming at the top of my lungs because I don't. It's not going to help me to get in I call it verbal volleyball, arguing with a child. So I'm not going to go back and forth with my children because that's not going to get me nowhere but more and more upset. But it was just this release. And I would scream and say, "Get out of my car. You are not welcome here, enemy." And if it did nothing else, it instilled enough fear in them to say either mama losing it or whatever. But I got the peace and quiet. My whole house would quiet down. When my husband would go in the room and close the door, everybody was just like, it would set the atmosphere, right? It shifted it from that. And then we'll come out later at dinner, play a game or whatever. But it was for me. I got the release I needed.
No, I actually love that. I love that you did that because what you was doing was reestablishing control.
Yeah.
I control this. I don't have to put my hands on you to get control. This is I love that. I hope y'all are hearing what she's saying because she dropping some jewels on y'all today.
Mhm,
Parenting jewels. Ooh. And we
mhm.
all need it, especially I don't even want to say a generation because all generations need this. They
Oh yeah.
don't we was babies having babies. Let's be
Mhm,
honest.
mhm,
And
mhm.
we need somebody that can tell us something about some parenting. So I hope y'all are listening.
Yeah.
When a mother, see, it's kind of funny because I want to say fathers too, but we're gonna stick with the mother. When a
Mhm,
mother's, when she the first in her lineage to shift to the Kingdomstrodinary mindset,
mhm,
how can she navigate the resistance from her spouse, her children, her
mhm,
extended family? Because don't nobody want you to shift and start
mhm.
becoming a better person. But
Yeah.
I like to say, and I'm asking, it's harder work to do good, to do right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do they deal with that? How do they?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? And that is a great point because um it's not so much as often as the other. Sometimes you are so comfortable in the chaos that
Mm,
this new thing is so unfamiliar, untreaded territory. Sometimes you can, and I want to fall back into what's comfortable, right? What feels good for us. So that's why we're launching Moms Creating Space. So we want to
okay.
give moms the community, a safe space that they have when those hard times come, there's another mother there that you can confide in. There's another mother that can encourage you to stay the course. So we're building this community for mothers so they're not out there trying to do this alone, if that makes sense.
I love that. We
Mhm.
gonna get it at the end, but if you can tell us where we can get that at, like throw a little plug in there right now. We'll get it again, but
Yeah.
give me the plug right now. Where's the create the mother space? Because I know they need that. Where's it?
Yes.
What's the
Yes.
name of
So
it?
yep, Mom's Creating Space. It's a transformational journey for mothers. We will be launching that next month in August. It will be a 2 day, um, just a 2 day self care workshop and begin to learn some of these strategies that we're talking about and how to apply them. We'll build community. So we're super excited to offer this for mothers who are interested.
Say
It's
next
all
month in
virtual
August,
in
next
April.
month in August, or next month in April.
Next month in April. My apologies. If
No,
I
no,
said
you're fine. You're fine. I just want to make sure that people know that this is coming because
yes,
I
in
know we
April.
need
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
And
Yes, April 10th
that's
and
good,
11th.
Dr. Glenda.
Hmm.
That's some good stuff you coming up with. So basically, you're a spiritual architect.
Hmm.
How do you see God as the ultimate architect of family design?
Yeah,
And what blueprints has He given you for helping people with restoration?
yeah, yeah. So, God is, he's just amazing. And let me tell you,
Man,
if you had
amen.
asked me 5 years ago about any of this would, I wouldn't have had any of this. This is all through my healing journey and realizing who I needed and what I wanted as a
Okay.
mother. You know, my kids are 28 and 27 now. But man, if I had had this, man, if I had had that, it's just like I'm working it backwards. And I know there's other mothers out there that like me that would want what we are building here at Exousia
Mm,
Transformation Space. So the blueprint is simply that, and it's not to sound cliche-ish, but everything we need is in His Word. And
mm,
it's just a matter of reading the Word for that fresh revelation. And I think this Moms Creating Space is not just for mothers of young children. I think there's a lot of mothers now who are like myself learning to parent our adult children.
mm.
And how do we respect that space? How do we do different things with our adult children? So Moms Creating Spaces for all moms and godmoms. And my sister is a phenomenal godmother. She never birthed a child, but she has these same dilemmas and dynamics when you are parenting, because she's a godparent, right? So I believe that what we're providing here is something unique, is something exceptional, and something needed for any woman. We're starting with the mothers, but we do have the fathers inside. So and the children. So there's going to be three components to this: moms creating space, fathers creating space, and then children creating space for 6 through 18-year olds. So we are super excited about the growth and what God has given for His people today for such a time as this.
I love that you're putting that together, and I'm glad you said something about the fathers. So make sure you keep me in tune when that come in, because I'm definitely a father, and I love the knowledge that you're dropping. So I know it's gonna be awesome. I love, matter of fact, the Kingdomstrodinary of it is very unique and is very much needed. So
Mhm.
God bless you and your journey that you're on.
Thank
I'll
you.
say that. What are some prophetic insights that God has revealed to you about the future of the kingdom families that you're building?
Yeah, yeah. Oh wow. I just see what he's saying to me is
Mhm.
that when my when my people who are called by my name is what I want to say, but because that's what's coming to mind. But when my people know who they are, I think that's what's lacking. We
Okay.
truly need to identify our identity, um, and accept our identity as kingdom citizens, and not only accept it but then decide to walk in it. um, the enemy has not only used shame, but shame, I believe, all of that is rooted in fear. If I speak my truth, then what will happen, right? So I don't speak my truth. So he has governed us so much in fear of hitting my children, fear of disciplining my children. So we are in all of this fear, but God says, I've given you authority. And when we can understand that I have the authority, I'm the parent of this home, not CPS. I'm the parent of the home, not the school system. I'm the
Right.
parent of this home, and operate in our kingdom authority, then we can raise our children in the kingdom. One of the things I think we miss so often as parents, we often will say, in education, we talk about a growth and a fixed mindset. Growth
Hmm.
mindset believes the change is going to come. We believe, it's like a,
It's faith. It's
yeah,
faith.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's faith.
Yeah, and then the fixed mindset is like it'll always be this way. They'll never change.
Right.
And so often when I hear parents say that, it's a challenge for me because I think we have to speak life into our children. And a lot of these battles are not won with lip service, arguing and fussing with the kids, spanking the kids. A lot of our battles are spiritual and they have to be won on our knees. We have to fight for our
Mm,
kids on
that's
our
good.
knees
Yes,
as
man.
to be um, kingdom extraordinary.
No, no, no. That makes a lot of sense. So basically, like you said, the battle is on our knees, and you're fighting the spiritual. It's a mindset work that needs to be done,
Yes.
basically. And because to be stuck in that fixed mindset, that's like you go back to what you said earlier. That's a you. That's something inside of you. You got
Hmm.
to get rid of that past hurt. You got to let go of the past hurt for your future blessings. Because
Yeah.
if you keep that past hurt, it'll keep you stuck in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
If a mother is listening today, feels like she's exhausted, discouraged, unqualified to lead her family in faith, what would you say to her?
Hmm. The devil is a liar.
Amen.
Yeah, the devil is
Amen.
a liar. Yes. And I would wrap my arms around her, welcome her to our into our community. And as you said, I'm a therapist, so there's two ways you can get to me. You can get to me through Exousia Transformation SPACE, and then I also have Hayden Therapeutic Services, where people can tap in if they choose to use their health insurance for services. So we're opening the doors and making us as accessible as necessary for folks to get what they need so that we can operate as the kingdom citizens we're called to be.
Hmm. I'm actually glad that you have both
Mhm.
because sometimes it ain't insurance, sometimes it's another thing, but I'm glad that you actually have both and you're creating a space. I think it's going to do very well. How do you help families transition from survival mode
Mhm.
to a legacy of building that mindset that they need to be kingdom extraordinary?
Yeah. And that's really built in our space framework. We
Hmm.
have to pause. I call it the power of the pause. We have been conditioned to be so reactive. Um,
Hmm.
in cognitive behavior therapy, if I can share with you real quickly, is we have the triangle. And
Okay.
at the triangle, at the tip of the triangle is your behavior, and on another point is your thoughts, and another point is an emotion. So you have three. And a life event happens. I'm going to use something simple. You wake up in the morning and the sun's shining, an event has happened, you've noticed it, so you have a thought, oh wow, it's such a beautiful day, I'm going
Hmm.
to go for a walk. And then your behavior is you put on your gym shoes, you go out for a walk, your emotions is you're happy, you're smiling, you're greeting your neighbors. That's happened for you. The next day you wake up, it's cloudy and raining. You feel sad and disgusted and frustrated. Not another day like this, right? You're gloomy. So your behavior is you go back into the bed. And then your thought is, I can't stand this weather, right? It's always happening, especially if you're in the Midwest. We have gray skies all the time. So you're grumpy. So this cycle continues. We're constantly going through this cycle throughout our day. With the
Right.
power of the pause, is you pause. And I believe the breath is always with us. I encourage you, just take a breath, pause, get out of that automatic thought of the gloomy weather. It's always like this, right? Break, pause to break that up. And then say, we call it the three C's: catch the thought, check the thought, and change the thought. Is this thought serving me? If it's not serving me, how can I change it to a thought that does? Yeah, it is a gloomy day, but I'm going to go read a book and I'm going to cut off with a hot cup of tea or cocoa. You know what I mean? We can flip it and not have to be in the bed and dragging in and miserable for the rest of our lives or the rest of the day. So what happens is we're on these automatic thoughts, and if we don't interrupt them, we spiral into depression. We spiral into this survival mode that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So when we pause and we take that breath, we can interrupt that thought pattern and say, whoa, this isn't serving me well. Let me turn on some worship music. Let me turn on some of my line dance music if that's for you. Let me call a friend, phone a friend. Let me go and snuggle with my child, whatever it is. But how do I interrupt that to get me out of that rut before I spiral?
I like that. The power of the pause. I hope y'all hearing what she's saying. Because that actually, I might have to use that. I'm just telling you, Dr. Glenda, because I tell my clients, just get 1% better every day. So now I got to add that to it. Get 1% better every day. But the power of the pause to lead you back into your 1%. So thank you.
Yes.
What does a kingdom empowered family look like in action?
Mm-hmm.
And can you
Yeah.
share a transformational story that has deeply impacted you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I one fa- I just shared my own personal story has deeply impacted me
Okay.
because of the fact, like I said, when we went through our divorce, it was the pandemic shortly thereafter, and my children were away at college, so everybody was doing their own thing. And to see the power of God, when I decided to write my book, I also talk about my divorce in the book. And I went to my children's father, my former husband, and said, hey, I'm writing the book and I'm talking about some of this. And he shared, we had a nice conversation about it. I said, I didn't want you to find it on Amazon. I'm going to talk to you beforehand. And he said some beautiful words to me. And I said, may I include them in the book? So he wrote the afterwards to my book. And the
Oh,
fact, like I said, we just took family pictures today, and I'm sick and I'm down. The kids are away out of state, but when we're still in the same city together, I bring him soup, he bring me soup. We live separately, but we look after each other. So to me, that is kingdom family. And if
yes,
anything, I remember my daughter was talking to her friend. We're driving down the road. She was home visiting, and she said, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what she was saying. She says, and my mama still pray for my daddy. And her friend, I could hear through the phone say, your mama pray for your daddy? My mama still pray for my daddy. And I never talk, but she sees it. You know what I mean? She saw it and she was like, okay, even though there was a divorce, my mother still prays for my father because my father, their father, is a soul, right? And if he ain't healthy, my kids ain't healthy. And I need him to be whole and right with the kingdom so that our legacy can thrive and live.
God teaches us love.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I commend you both on that. So
yeah,
like you said,
yeah,
that's what a kingdom family looks like.
yeah.
Love. Even if y'all
Love.
we can agree to disagree. That's
Absolutely.
okay. That's okay. People grow apart, no problem. Still is love in that.
Yes.
So thank you. I thank you for even sharing that.
Yeah.
So here come the part in our interview that I got some rapid questions for you.
Okay.
This is like short answers or first thought that come to your mind.
Hmm.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, we'll try it out.
Okay. What's one scripture that every kingdom mother should hold close to her heart?
Hmm. Man, there's so many, but the first came to mind is Psalms 23. Yeah.
What's the scripture? You can.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I could tell you
No,
the
I
whole
know
thing.
Psalm 23. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. The Lord, the part that I think we really should hold, even though I'm never alone when I walk through that valley, the shadow of the valley.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you are never
Not
alone. So
alone.
even
If
though
you
you
walk through
may
the valley
feel
of the shadow of
shadow of
death,
death, you
you
are
are
not
not alone.
alone. Yes, He's with
Okay.
us when we're feeling like we're alone. We're not.
You are not alone. Yes, ma'am.
And Mom's
What's a
creating
daily?
space is here for you too.
Okay. Okay. Mom's creating space. All right. Y'all better get in there. What's a daily habit or spiritual discipline that keeps you anchored?
Prayer, worship.
Always. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
If you could sit down with any biblical mother for coffee, who would
Mm,
it be?
man, I would have to say Mary. I like
Okay.
to say
What
Mary.
would you ask her? I'm just being nosy.
Man, yeah,
Look,
yeah,
I'm nitpicking now. You said Mary. What would you say? Because I
yeah.
know that'd be a good one.
I had two questions for Barry. First of all, what did you think when he told you you about to have a baby? What was going on in your mind?
Ooh, that's a good
Yes,
one.
yes.
That's a
Like
good one.
when God and the angel said you about to have a baby and you have never even climaxed or had sex. You know what I
Right.
mean? How you about to have a baby? So that part, and then um, a mother's heart. How do you press? So many mothers. Struggle and have such heavy grief when they lose a child, especially a son. And when you lost your son, and she witnessed her son, right?
Right.
How do you press and continue to move beyond that? What was her strength? And I imagine it was Christ, and Jesus left a village of young men in charge of caring for her, including her natural son. But yeah, that would be what would she advise us as mothers to do? Because we always say mothers never want to bury their children before themselves. So yeah.
That is really good. You know, when you said that, when you said the first one about what was it like just finding out she was pregnant before, the first thought came to my mind was, especially this whole conversation that we've been talking about. What did you think when I think he was 13 or something, when he sat there and he was like, I told you I had to be about my father's work. Like, what you supposed to say to your kid? What you mean?
Yeah,
Hold up. You got us looking for you when you talk. Oh, look. So that's what
about
I
my
was like.
father's business. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Okay, so what's your go-to worship song when you need strength and clarity?
Hmm. Man, lately I have been into I trust in God, my
Okay,
Savior, the one. He'll never fail.
okay, that's a good
Yeah.
one. That's a good one.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so I've got a couple questions. Well, one more, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
If you could give one challenge or activation for mothers listening today
Hmm.
to step into their kingdom identity, what would it be?
I would ask them to write a letter to God,
Mm,
a dear God letter, and lay it all out. Dear God, whatever your stressors, whatever your concerns, whatever issues you have struggling with, forgiving yourself, just lay it all out and say, God, I'm giving it all to you. And at the end of that letter, to say, now, Lord, what do you want to give me in exchange? What would you like to give me in return? And just sit still and listen for his response.
wow, that's so good.
Mhm.
Mm, that's good. That's good for anybody. That ain't just for mothers. Y'all better
Mhm.
listen to Dr. Glenda. She got some jewels for y'all.
Mhm.
Okay, Dr. Glenda, I thank you. I appreciate you for coming on the show. You didn't drop some jewels on my people.
Mhm.
Um, where can we connect with you? Where can the people find you?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm at exousiats.com is my website, but you can also reach me at Dr. G at exousiats.com. If you interested in my memoir, it is can be found on at Dr. Glenda um,
Can you show
Hayden.
that book again, please?
Oh, sure, sure. I did it
Pull
pretty
back,
quick.
pull back. Like pull back a little bit. There you go. Abortions to life. Okay, there
Yes,
we go.
Abortion Leads to Life, a Woman's Journey of Healing. And that
Okay.
can be found on my um at drglendahayden.com, but it's also on my website too.
Okay, Dr. Glenda, and please don't laugh at me when I ask you this,
Yeah.
but can you spell that for my audience? Because
Oh,
Exousia is
absolutely.
like, I'm just being
Yeah,
honest
yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah. It's
You
not a
say it, I'm like,
everyday
how do I,
term.
so can
Yes,
you just give it, just so we can make sure they can find you?
absolutely. Thank you for asking that. It's E as in elephant, X as in X-ray, OUSIATS.com. Exousia Therapeutic, Exousia Transformation SPACE.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
and tell them about your new book you got coming. Come
Yeah,
on, let them.
yes, I forgot. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm super excited. After I wrote the first book, I said, God, I can't just leave the people with that. We have to give them something else because a heavy book. What's next? And so then he dropped in my spirit, Unveiling Shame, Secrets Held Appeasing Man's Expectation, Reclaiming Your Life from Abortion and Societal Expectation. So it is just a brief book. It's more of a Bible study, sort of, where you can dive in, and he really walks. This was part of my healing, from shame, and he walks me through the word, and it's a great little devotional Bible study book. So it'll be out in May. So
Okay, everybody. If y'all don't know, y'all better tap in with Dr. Glenda. She's doing some big things. One more time, what's the name of it? The women's.
um the unveiling, oh, my women's course coming up in April. Thank you. We will have Moms Creating Space, a transformational journey, for mothers. So it's a 2-day, so I call it a self-care workshop. We will be together for 2 intense days, and we'll do the work. So Moms Creating Space.
Okay, and y'all already know what I like to tell y'all. Stay real, stay raw, stay grounded in your faith, and walk boldly in your purpose. Till the next time, y'all.